So this is a very brief PowerPoint to try to introduce us all to assessment in the context of this course and the way we're going to define it. What we're looking at here is both formal and informal methods of evaluating how well a student is doing. It can apply to both their academic performance and behavioral issues. The important thing is to remember that we can use both formal and informal instruments to gain information, and the key is the choice of the appropriate instrument. Our purpose is clearly to understand what we need to know to inform our decisions about a student. The major decision being, what do they need to be taught? Where are they? What are their needs versus the things they've already accomplished? And how we can get to the point where they are achieving or behaving in a manner that we have expectations for. The components of assessment, again, for this course, we're talking about the collection of data. How we're going to take that data and analyze it is critical. That analysis leads to a summary evaluation, which is used to make decisions or determine what recommendations should be made. So it's a very logical process. We got here as a result of lots of litigation and legislation. The entire history of special education began in the courts typically, with court cases and litigation that eventually resulted in federal legislation. And we have a lot of rules around what it is we should be doing regarding assessment, both at the state and federal level. And we want to always be sure that the appropriate assessment is being provided to each individual student. This is just a list, refresher of the 13 categories that are still the classifications for special education under IDEA. Just to remind you, because many of you have probably worked in very limited areas here, but we will be addressing the related assessment to most all of these categories. And finally, just to refresh you on the assessment process in special ed, and I know this is total repetition for most of you. We can't forget the pre-referral screening issues now that are taking place routinely, and that's relatively new to the old assessment process. We know about parent permission. We'll discuss in more detail when it is essential and when it is not necessary. The formal comprehensive tests that we give to students when we're making big decisions about their future, how those results are reported, and then how that process of identifying students perhaps with their initial classification and then placing them in the most appropriate programming to help them based on their specific needs, and also how we use this assessment information to develop IEPs. I will apologize here for my voice. It will improve over this semester, I promise. So thanks for listening to it for a few minutes.